Welcome back to On The Volley, and as you can see, I'm not in the pub today, yeah? Just taking a little bit of a break, okay? You know, trying to give my liver a little bit of breathing space. I think I've maybe just exaggerated recently, so I'm just going to slow down a bit. Hold on. Oh, that's the police helicopter. Yeah, well, not looking for me, thankfully. At least not this time. So anyway, as you can see, I'm in the back garden of the apartment block where I live, and again, it's a lovely day out here in Rome. Yeah, it's absolutely fucking gorgeous. Anyway, let's get back to it. So I'm here today to talk about that man, Ange Postecoglou. You know, after their recent performances, yeah, a lot of the fans have been calling him Ange Postecoglou, yeah? And I did a video, okay, with reference to that. Look, I just think that the fans, and I'm talking all fans now, yeah? I'm not going to just, criticize the Spurs fans, yeah? Because it's not just them. It's fans in general. A high percentage of fans, we are just too quick to judge. And, and criticize. And I know there's this expectation, high expectation for our teams to do well. And I tell you what, I can understand that from teams that have consistently, won trophies. So you think to yourself, okay, this is what I want. And the teams that haven't won trophies, you want your team to go and finally win something. And people have to take into account, also their budget. And I'm not talking about Spurs because they have spent some money, yeah? Let's be honest, they have spent some money. You can say what you want about Daniel Levy, but he has been spending the money. And from what I understand, he has been backing Ange, yeah? So I don't understand, and this is with reference to the Spurs supporters, the sense of entitlement that they believe they have, yeah? And this is not all Spurs supporters. Maybe it's a small percentage of them where, they're expecting, I don't know what they're expecting, to be totally honest. I know they want to win a trophy. I can understand the hunger, the need, okay, right, to improve, because at the moment, let's be honest, they're not in the top four. You couldn't really call Spurs an elite team, and I've already said this before. They want to get there. I completely understand that, and they want to get to the level of Arsenal. I can understand that as well. But look, let's be honest. Ange hasn't started well this season, yeah? So he was going to have a hard time. It's only natural. He was going to be critiqued. But I just think sometimes it's a bit of an exaggeration. It's the beginning of the season. Give him some time. Especially as you saw what he did for Spurs last season and how he had them playing their football. So, okay, they didn't start as they did last season, but give the man a chance. Look, when they played Coventry in the Carabao Cup round, yeah, I didn't watch the game, obviously, okay. But I got a emoji from my friend Des, who's a fellow Gooner, an Ange emoji, okay? I said, yeah, he's fucking ridiculous. When I heard they were 1-0 down, I didn't expect that from them, to be totally honest. I said, but they'll score 2 now. And I was obviously referring to Spurs, yeah? And I'll put that up because I took a Photoshop of the messages, yeah? And he just replied with a laughing emoji. And then, he sends me another text saying that Ange is out of his depth, he only has a plan B. Fucking hell, man. Yeah, it's not as if we're in the centre of Rome, yeah, but they're looking for someone. Just as long as that someone doesn't fit the description, just as long as I don't fit the description, do you know what I mean? Otherwise we've got some explaining to do. Anyway, we're not in America, so I should be okay. Anyway, so as I was saying, it's coming out with, they're saying that he's out of his depth, so on and so forth. He doesn't have a clue. He only has a plan. He doesn't have a plan B. you know, he stands there on the touchline with his hands in his pockets. Okay, there's no animation. I've already attested to that. He does his work during the week on the training pitch. Does he really need to be animated on the sidelines? That's not really his style. It never has been, from what I know of him anyway. And I'll be honest with you, yeah, I did text my boy and I said to him, I said, listen, if they lose, I'm going to have a hard time defending Ange. Because anyone that watches my videos knows that I'm an Ange fan, yeah, and I defend him to the hill. But that's because I've seen what he can do. And, you know, the first season I could understand it when the Spurs fans were criticising him and such, yeah, because they didn't know him. But after what he'd done for them last season, I would have thought, you know, a bit more faith. One of them, hold on, excuse me, one of them, Desi's friends, yeah, was a Spurs fan, and they're sending texts between them. He got it forwarded to him. You know, even he turned around and said, oh, you know, I'm losing my faith in the guy. And I'm like, bro, it's early days. What happens? Jed Spence, Brennan Johnson, okay, both score. They win 2-1 against Coventry. Now, obviously, Ange had rang the changes. Okay, then he did the substitutions in the second half. And you know what? His motto of "we never stop," you saw that there. So, you know, they got past the round against Coventry. Then the big one, I call it a big one, yeah. Okay, it's not a big one, but I'm talking about the more important game out of the two, I believe, was the one in the Premiership, okay, against Brentford. And they were at home. And Brentford, you know, they're a good team. They come out to play in that. But I had no doubts that Spurs would win that game as well, regardless of the bad start, because I said Ange will turn things around. Now, Spurs went 1-0 down, yeah. But even then I wasn't worried because, look, you know, Man City went 1-0 down to Brentford, yeah. Brentford scored first against them as well. So, and Man City won. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Ange Spurs is on the same level as Man City. That's obvious, yeah. But I knew what was going to happen. And they played some really, really, really good football. It looked as if Ange ball is back, yeah. They beat him 3-1, yeah. Well, who was it? I think Solanke finally scores. He's off the mark. Brennan Johnson scored, okay, to go 2-1. And then James Maddison, who hasn't really started well this season, scores 3-1. Personally, I believe that the last two results are going to give the team a bit more confidence. Look, Ange came out and said that he said to his players, trust me. Trust my style of play. Trust the process. And to be totally honest, I've been watching some YouTube, videos on Ange. And I tell you what, the pundits, okay, they all have a lot of respect for Ange, okay. There's a lot of pundits out there that actually believe that Ange will turn it around and they will, okay, play great football this season. Another pundit came out with, I think it was a pundit, or was it? It was someone on one of the YouTube channels. I can't remember what it was. He turned around and said, look, you know, Spurs are in 10th place, but if you look at the stats, and I can't be arsed with stats, to be totally honest. That's why I don't go and research the stats and come out with it. But he came out with this and said, like, you know, they're first in possession, they're first in, I don't know, shots or something. They're first in this, they're first in that. Okay, so, you know, stats-wise, they're doing really well, which is completely the opposite to what their position is. And again, you know, I think Spurs has only one problem, and I've said this before, they're not clinical enough, or they haven't been clinical enough, yeah? But again, you know, that'll turn around. Solanke, who's had a lot of criticism, I mean, the boy hasn't played that many games, okay? I think he was carrying an injury or something, yeah? So he's off the mark, okay? And that obviously is going to help with his confidence, so long as the boy can stay fit. And Ange turned around because he was asked about Ivan Toney. Ange responded, he said, look, you know, I could have got Ivan Toney. I chose Solanke. So out of the two, he chose Solanke. So if Ange has chosen him, then he obviously sees a player that can fit his style of football, which is the most important thing for Ange, yeah? So even though I don't know Solanke that well, you know, I mean, I don't know his, you know, stats, how many goals he scored and all that. I couldn't be bothered to go and look. The past is the past, okay? Let's look at the present and the future and, you know, what he does now, because you can't live on the past, yeah? So I honestly do believe that we'll see Solanke score quite a few goals this season. Why do I say that? Because Ange has faith in him, and I know Ange, okay? At least I profess to know Ange, yeah? Again, my message to the Spurs supporters, you know, you have a right to voice your opinion. You have a right to criticize, okay, your manager. You have a right to criticize your players, okay? Who the fuck am I to tell you not to? You know what I mean? And I don't want to be a hypocrite. I'm one of those fans that used to do the same thing. I'd like to think that, you know, I've changed to a certain degree. I try to be a little bit more objective. I try to give these players, okay, I'm not talking about Spurs. I mean, you know, even at Celtic or at Arsenal, I try to give them time to basically, you know, develop, fit in, gel, and prove themselves. And I think that's what needs to be done here. Look, I'll be honest with you, yeah, when Mikel Arteta took over Arsenal, I wasn't sure he was the right man. And the first couple of seasons, I was really on the fence with him. Brendan Rodgers takes over Celtic. I turned around and I said, look, I think Brendan will do well in Scotland, yeah? But I was still on the fence with him, to be totally honest, until he won the double in the first season. So I said, okay, right, he's proven me wrong. And I'm still on the fence about Brendan when it comes to, you know, the European stage. That said, excellent game against Slovan Bratislava, and they beat him 5-1. Great football. So, you know, so far, Brendan Rodgers is proving me wrong. Arteta has proven me wrong as well. So, for now, after that lesson, I'm trying to be a little bit more objective. I'm trying to be a little bit more understanding, and I'm trying to, you know, look at the big picture and analyze it, you know. Not everyone's going to think like me, and I don't expect everyone to think like me. But what I will say to the Spurs fans, okay, like I've said before, I want Ange to do well. I don't want Spurs to do better than Arsenal. Yeah, that has to be clear, yeah? That said, okay, I think the Spurs fans need to keep the faith with Ange. I think, you know, he's got a 4-year contract, man. And I honestly believe that that man is going to bring you trophies. I've said it on numerous occasions. I've had the piss taken out of me, especially by, you know, my fellow Gooners. But they don't know Ange like I know Ange, yeah? So that's the only thing I've got to say. Look, I don't really have a lot more to say. I think Ange has finally turned the corner with his boys. I think, you know, you're going to see a lot more of Ange ball, and I think you're going to like what you see. That's all I've got to say. Anyway, me, Shah, I'm out.